morning, and thank you for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We've got a great show for you guys today. We will be covering the three-point showdown with Curry and Deion Sanders, and make sure you stick around for later in the show when we'll be covering the oddities of the day. We'll also be talking about Joel Embiid as well. Before we start, I would like to ask you that you like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from the viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. The tips and donation link is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also just really helps the show.
Wow. Faith, you were on fire already this morning. Holy crap. You just flowed right through that, where I was totally uncomfortable with calling it the Andrew Tate Show.
that was a little bit of a struggle.
But no, you did the tip donation. You just flew right through it. I was like, holy crap, okay. And I'm the one later in the day. It's early in the morning for Faith.
Yes.
And then it's midday for me. It's 12:22 because we're getting off to a late start. We've been having some
internet
technical difficulties on both sides at the same time.
Which is crazy, yeah.
So for anyone that was waiting on our show to start, we're starting about 23 minutes late.
So
and the name of the show has changed, as we talked about yesterday. It's the same show, just a little bit different name. Goes from the Tate Cast to the Andrew Tate Show, which is kind of weird for me to talk about because it's my name.
We wanted to keep you guys on your toes. That's the whole reason
yes.
we did it.
So, okay, now, other than that, how are you doing, Faith? Now you got past the internet issues, anything.
I'm good. Let's see. How many hours of sleep did I get last night? I think I got around 7.5 hours last night.
Ooh, so you got a little bit less, and I'm probably 5, which is huge for me.
Yeah, that's a big
So I am on fire today. So
that is a big deal. Yeah.
All right. So what are we starting with? What are we doing?
So first we're gonna start off with Joel Embiid. He injured his left knee at last night's game. Philadelphia's 76ers star Joel Embiid will undergo an MRI on his left knee after injuring it in the fourth quarter on Tuesday's 119-107 loss to the Golden State Warriors. The injury occurred with 4 minutes and 4 seconds left in the game as Embiid was being double-teamed by the Warriors. Jonathan
Kuminga. I knew you were going to have trouble with Kuminga.
and Draymond Green. After Kuminga poked the ball away from him, Embiid fell to the ground to retrieve it, and Kuminga subsequently fell on top of his knee. And then Embiid grabbed the knee and was in visible pain, and then he did not return for the game afterwards.
Okay. I actually watched this game, which means, again, lack of sleep. I'm watching this game, and when they all dove for the ball and Kuminga fell and kind of landed on his knee, and it looked bad initially. He hyperextended it, and so it looked really bad, and I'm like, holy crap, because the 76ers go only as far as Joel Embiid takes them. And he was already dealing with injuries. And a few years ago, he was kind of injury prone, but he is arguably the best player in the league, if not one of the 3 or 4 best players in the league. The 76ers with Joel Embiid is a NBA championship contender. I know they've fallen short a few times in the playoffs, but make no mistake about it. They are a playoff contending team. Not to mention, he's last year's MVP. He's favored to win the MVP this year, and he's the league leading scorer. He's the highest scorer in the league. And when I saw that, I was like, holy crap. And then Nelson from the GSMC basketball podcast immediately sent me a text message and said, Joel Embiid's run at MVP is over. And
Mm.
he had me thinking about that. And it's like, how can is like, if it's just a hyperextension and he didn't tear anything, and it all this is a medium story to major story. If that
Mm-hmm.
MRI comes back and he's torn something and they've lost him for the season, the 76ers are done. It is
Yeah.
absolutely over for the 76ers. But if it comes back and it's a slight strain and he's going to miss a game, maybe two, then the 76ers are fine. But there's still another interesting story. There's a story within a story with this one, and that is, let's say if Joel Embiid misses any extended time, the new NBA rule where a player has to play 65 games in order to qualify for NBA awards,
Mm.
that becomes major because that means if he misses more than 65 games, a guy who is pretty much favored to win the MVP this year,
Mm-hmm.
he's not eligible to win the MVP.
Well, he's already missed 2 previous games because of the knee soreness
Right.
in
I
that
think he's
game.
missed
So,
like 12 to 14, like he's already missed like 12 to 14 games already.
mm,
If he misses any more, then he's not eligible for all NBA. He's not eligible for the MVP. That becomes major. And when talking about this, there's another player, I forget who they were talking about on ESPN. I was catching as I was running out the door earlier today, that this new rule of you have to hit 65 games in order to be eligible. There's even a player that is in danger of missing and not making those 65 games. That's I think it's like a 50 to $55 million take. I mean, it affects his contract. He could lose up to 50 to $55 million
wow.
because he's not going to make the
Mm,
65 games. That makes it so, if you don't hit that 65 games, there's some players that will not be eligible for the Supermax, which that's a 30, 40, $50 million swing for a lot of the players. So all of a sudden, this new rule is starting to come in effect for Joel Embiid and a lot of other players because of the fact that, 65 games is a big deal.
mm,
My question to you is, the NBA put this rule in because it's more for the fans than anything. If you're a big basketball fan, you're coming to see Giannis versus Joel Embiid or LeBron versus Kawhi Leonard, and these players are sitting out, load managing. This rule was put in place so that fans are able to see their star players when they buy a ticket. And tickets at the NBA are incredibly expensive.
mm,
And you drop 100, 200, 300, $500 on the ticket to see LeBron and Kawhi Leonard or Giannis and Joel Embiid, and they're not there. That sucks for the fan. But now there's a double-edged sword to this, where guys such as Joel Embiid may not. Joel Embiid may, if it's a minor injury that he has to miss some time, he could lead the league in scoring and just not be eligible for the MVP as well.
right.
Is that fair to the player? How do you feel about this new rule?
Um, in my opinion, I don't find it to be very fair especially when it comes to like injury, because like you can't help that you got injured while playing the game, and so now you have to be out for a certain amount of number of games to
The heel, yes.
heal, and the fact that that's going to be taken away because you got injured during the game just doesn't seem very fair to me.
Or imagine, think of yourself as a major player and your contract is coming up, and if there's escalators in it, that if you make all NBA or you're MVP or your first team, or you're an all-star or whatever, but you're not eligible this year for any of the NBA awards because you had a legitimate injury. Mm. Okay, that's the bad side, but I mean that's the player side. But then look at the NBA. How do you feel if you're like, oh man, I'm a big Clippers fan and I'm going to spend thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars on season tickets, or you're average everyday guy, girl on the street who's working a double shift and they only have money for maybe one game a year. Mm-hmm. And so they went out and they spent all this money on these tickets. And now they go to the game. It's their one game of the year. And you're seeing none of the stars are playing. Because, hey, they're injured, or a lot of times the NBA season is grueling. So it's an 82-game season. And players don't want to play back-to-back because, Joel Embiid has a knee injury and playing back-to-back games is rough on him, so they're going to rest. Mm-hmm. So the NBA is trying to do right by the fans, and they're trying to do right. It's one of those things where it's kind of both sides. It's kind of, if you help one side, you hurt the other side. And it's a disaster. If Joel Embiid is not eligible for, let's say it's not a major injury. God forbid it's a major injury. Mm-hmm. But let's say it's a minor injury that he's out 5 to 7 games. Is, legitimate injury. Is it fair for a guy like Joel Embiid to not be eligible for MVP or all NBA? Do you see both sides of this conversation?
I would say no, it's not fair for Joel Embiid, and I understand what the league is trying to do for the fans, but you've got to take into consideration that the people that are playing, you can overwork them and then they can get more injuries, So is this where
and that's the other thing, yes.
Yeah, so if they're required to play 65 games in a year out of 82,
yes.
82? That's a lot.
Oh, the NBA season is a grind. I mean, it's a grind. And here's something that does happen sometimes. Let's say, and like I said, hopefully this is not a major injury for Joel Embiid. We'll find out today when the MRI comes back. If it's a major injury, this conversation is irrelevant. We're talking about the effect of the 76ers.
Yeah.
And Philadelphia 76ers. But let's say this is a situation where it's an injury that he would normally rest and take time out, but because of the fact that he wants to be contend for the MVP, he has to play. What happens is players of that size, you're talking 7-footers. Okay, so now he has to overcompensate because he's playing on an injury that should have been rested. It affects other body parts because you kind of overcompensate. So next thing you know, it can affect an Achilles. It could affect the other knee. It could affect the hip. So it's a situation where, especially guys that size, Joel Embiid in size, 7-footers, 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 7'1" players, them having to play in these games, it could affect them. In other words, you're overcompensating, so you're putting a lot more pressure on the right knee. Now you're putting extra pressure on, you're landing on your left knee and your hip and your ankles. You're putting more stress on your Achilles. Forcing players of that size to play is putting them at danger. And what they're trying to do is protect against players missing games. Now, a catastrophic injury could happen where, hey, instead of them load managing for a few games here and there, now you might lose them for the whole year. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, Joel Embiid had already missed a couple of games because he was injured but he was playing because he wants to be eligible for that MVP.
Right.
And now Kaminga lands on him, and now he could be out an extended period of time. Still, it's coming. It seems like this could be coming back to bite the NBA on this one. Do you agree on this one? Do you see what I'm saying on
Yeah,
this
no,
one?
I see, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I agree. And if the NBA wants to have this rule where they require players to play 65 games in order to be eligible for stuff or whatever, I feel like there should be, um, like,
Or go ahead.
like there should be some, I guess, limitations to that. Like, if a player is injured and cannot play for a certain amount of games, I don't think that they should face repercussions because of that. You know what I'm saying?
No, no, I agree, and I totally understand. And look at a guy like LeBron. LeBron is, let's say he's 40 years old. Let's say he's put a lot of miles on his body. An older player needs that time off. You're traveling, you're playing back to back on a road game. You have to travel. You got back to back games. Those older players need that time off. I don't mind load management, but I do understand where the NBA is coming, where the fans, the fans are the league, and they're trying to make it so, let's say, you want to go, you're in that Atlanta area, and so let's say you're a big Atlanta Hawks fan, and LeBron's coming into town. You want to see LeBron, you want to see Trey Young,
Mm-hmm.
and so but maybe you don't have deep pockets, and so you've saved up all year because you want sweet tickets. You want to have great tickets so you can watch the game because you want to see Trey Young versus LeBron James, and you show up, you drop so much. This is a major night. It's you, your boyfriend, you're going out to dinner, you're buying beer and food at the stadium. That's an expensive proposition, and you
Mm-hmm.
show up, you sit down, you're ready to go. There's no LeBron, there's no Trey Young. It's kind of like, really?
Mm-hmm.
So I understand the NBA side. I don't feel like there's a right answer. I don't know how you fix this situation.
Um, I don't know.
I see the wheels turning. I look at you. I totally see where you're looking there. And it's like I see the wheels turning in your head here.
Maybe like I'm a very type A person, so my life is scheduled to the T. So like
Yes.
maybe the NBA, like, the teams can set out schedules and each player will be scheduled for a certain game so that they all get like the 65 games in or whatever, unless they're injured, and then
But
that's
you got injury issues.
yeah.
There's no, you know what I mean? And then, okay, you're gonna set out this schedule. I mean, you were talking because the big issue is hopefully Joel Embiid is healthy and it's not a major injury. But a big part of why this conversation comes into play is the fact that he was injured and most likely would not have played this game if this 65 game rule was in effect.
Mhm.
So that's my speculation that he wasn't really healthy in this game. He hasn't been playing well because he's been injured, but he has to play. So that's why I kind of brought this into play. But if you're TNT, or you're ESPN, who has spent billions on having these games, these marquee matchups, it's the Golden State Warriors, it's the Philadelphia 76ers. You want this to be on television. This is must-see TV. If you make an announcement that, hey, this is a rest game, who's watching that game? Then the networks have issues with. If you're a sponsor, I'm not sponsoring that game.
Yeah.
It's Billy Bob and Jamal playing this week. Do you really want to be putting you
Yeah.
got a big Mercedes advertisement?
Mhm.
There's a no-win situation there. Sorry, Billy Bob, if you're playing. I don't think there really is a Billy Bob and Jamal.
Yeah.
So,
It is, like you said, it definitely is a double-edged sword. And I don't really think anybody is winning, honestly.
no, it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make an adjustment to this. This is the first year they're doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and there's going to have to be a like waiver where it's like, hey, this guy is an elite player and he's had a legitimate injury where they're going to have to list or do something. There's going to have to be an adjustment, but this is already starting to become an issue because there's going to be players because of the way their contracts are structured that's going to miss substantial amount of money that they're not going to be able to get because they're not eligible for these awards. And that could be, when I say substantial, I don't mean it's a $50,000 or $60,000 swing, which is a lot of money to the average person. This is a 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 million swing that these players are going, that not being eligible is going to affect these players. So
well,
that's all. I just wanted to touch on this just a little bit. And you're like, okay.
well, I guess we'll have to keep checking to see if Joel Embiid's MRI is going to go well or not.
Very curious about what's going to happen. Hopefully, now, the big story is hopefully, and I'm trying to stay more on the positive side, that this is only more about the 65 games. If that MRI comes back and he's torn something, then who cares about that? That's their season. That's the 76ers season altogether. So, all right.
Well, with that, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu.
Okay, let's do this.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back, guys. Earlier we were talking about Joel Embiid and his injury, and now we're going to be diving into Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu. But first, I just wanted to remind you that if you like the show and want to send us a comment, you can do that at Stream Elements. Oh, and send tips and donations. You can do that at streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. It puts your question at the top of the list, and it also just really helps the show. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue twisted.
It's a rough morning for you. You're having issues. Internet issues, stumbling over your words, but you're still the consummate professional. You're doing it, my dear. You're awesome.
Thank you. Alrighty. Well, NBA's Curry is going to face WNBA's Ionescu in a 3-point showdown. The Golden State sharpshooter Steph Curry, the NBA's all-time three-point leader, and women's NBA one-season three-point record holder Sabrina Ionescu will meet in a showdown on NBA All-Star Weekend. I'm not a big basketball fan, but yesterday Tate sent me a video of Sabrina Ionescu doing her three-point showdown or whatever.
That was the NBA. That was her. I think that was the women's NBA kind of all-star game, and she was going off. She was firing. She was firing.
So impressive. I was like, wow. I was very impressed by that.
I'm curious your thoughts. I'm very curious about you and how you feel about this. Not meaning to sound sexist or anything, but part of this and why I find this so fascinating is the fact that you're putting the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the basketball, Steph Curry, up against the current best three-point shooter in the WNBA. It's a great opportunity to put shine on the WNBA, which do not get close to the same following for as the NBA. Something like this, you seeing this as a woman, does that make you a little bit more intrigued about watching the NBA All-Star game? Does it bring more attention as a woman to the WNBA? How does this situation of this great matchup between the battle of the sexes in many ways, in a fun way?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? And what are your thoughts on it?
It would definitely make me want to watch at least the All-Star game for sure. Just because, like you said, WNBA doesn't get as much attention as it needs to, and that goes for any women's sport, honestly. And from what it seems like, she's very, very talented. And
yes, absolutely.
Obviously, Steph Curry is also very talented, but it's good. It's nice to see that that they're putting someone who actually is talented up with somebody else who is actually talented. And to me, it looks like, this is my point of view, they're not really like trying to milk it that she's a woman. They're just talking about how talented she is. I mean, because when I was reading about it, they were talking about how Ionescu set a record with 37 points in the final of the WNBA event last year. And the way
37, she made 37 baskets, right?
Yeah,
37. Okay.
And just the way Curry and Ionescu have been like interacting together on social media, they both just seem really excited to go up against another really talented basketball player. I don't really see like this like gender playing a role in it that much.
I think gender will play a major role.
No, it absolutely will, but like the way the two of them are exchanging together, it doesn't really seem like they have gender in mind when they're talking about it.
Yes, and here's the positive side of this this isn't the Billie Jean King match where it's a guy saying, women can't beat a man and all this stuff. This is a situation where you have two great ambassadors that are making it about, it's a basketball competition. It's, you have the right two people. Is there anyone that presents themselves in public as well as Steph Curry? Steph Curry is a great guy, a great sportsman. So I'm hoping that this stays fun. I hope the way this could turn ugly is how it's covered. it's kind of like there was a guy that was talking about you take the WNBA champion, and he said he put up $1 million bet that the state champion, high school state champion of his choosing, could beat the WNBA champion. And that's what I mean about it could be put together in a negative way, where if the women don't win, it puts women down. It doesn't have to be this. This could be a really fun event. I've been thinking this for a while because I thought it would be a great way to have an all-star game where you take the WNBA All-Stars and the NBA All-Stars and you play a mixed game during All-Star Week where, it has to be a minimum of 2 women players on the court at any time, or, maximum of 3 of either one, but they're playing a mixed game. And I thought that would be great. Mm-hmm. I had never thought about this as a 3-point competition. I love this as a 3-point competition. Mm-hmm. Question though, do you know, will it be Steph Curry is playing with an NBA regulation ball and women are playing?
Yeah, so it was stated in the article that I read that Curry will shoot from the NBA 3-point line with NBA basketballs, while Ionescu will shoot from the WNBA 3-point line with WNBA basketballs.
Okay, that was one of the things I was kind of curious about because, is the competition going to be, are they using NBA rings? Are they using NBA balls? An NBA ball is bigger than a women's ball. Mm-hmm. The women's 3-point line is in a little bit closer than the men's. So that'll be one of the things that's interesting as well. I know when I was talking to the show host at GSMC, the NBA basketball, and he was kind of curious is what does the NBA really want? Will Steph? He kind of went with more of the conspiracy theory approach, where will Steph Curry lose because it helps the WNBA? Does the NBA want, and that's where I didn't want it to go that route. Yes. I wanted to be more about, it's a great opportunity to showcase 2 amazing stars.
Mm-hmm. I think my only concern with this is that, if Ionescu wins, then I feel like a lot of people are going to say it's like, oh, well, like, Curry, like, let her win, whatever. And if she loses, it's going to be, oh, it's because she's a woman and she's not as talented as a basketball player. So
that's the thing I'm worried about there, is that it's all in how it's covered. Mm-hmm. And the coverage and the way it's dictated, I'm sorry, is ESPN. The way ESPN covers it more than anyone else, because if NBA starts covering in a negative way, it's going to trickle down the line to many other networks. Mm-hmm. TNT, ESPN, Fox. That's the big 3 on how they take this. It could easily go negative, where it's like, if Steph Curry loses, it's kind of like, oh, you lost to a girl, and you're washed up, or this and that, or you threw the game. I just want it to be, if you approach this positive, it's just a fun competition. Mm-hmm. And I don't want this to be a one-offer. I think the NBA should start incorporating in and doing, like I said, the mixed game. I would love the mixed game, where, it's 3 women, 2 guys, or 2 guys, vice versa. But but it's a mixed game where you have to have the players on the court. I think that would be awesome. I think each year, I think they should start mixing in the WNBA games, because that's a great time. The NBA All-Star Game is supposed to be a celebration of basketball.
Right.
And lately, the NBA it has been sliding. I think this is a great way, if done correctly, to really infuse the game. I would love to go away from the East, West, or you pick this team, you pick that team. I think it should be you have a rookie game. I think you have the American players versus the world players. I think you should mix in the Steph Curry versus I can't think of her name right. What's her name again?
Sabrina Ionescu.
Sabrina. Yes, Ionescu. And then and a mixed game. I would love all of that, and I would go and I would definitely support it because the WNBA has put. There's some good games in the WNBA. They just don't get any of the following.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people that I don't know why I've been this way, and I've been trying to change this, but I can sit down and watch women's March Madness, the college basketball, and love it. But I have not been able, in the past, I haven't been a big supporter of the WNBA. And I love this because it kind of brings that attention out there.
Yeah, no, I hope that this will bring more viewers and lovers of the WNBA. I don't really like basketball, so basketball is not my favorite sports to watch. But, as a woman, I would love for women's sports to get more attention because, just Sabrina, watching her making 37 baskets, and I don't know how much time you have, but you have so much. It's time, so you have to go through. Yeah, and hopefully, like you, it made you excited. Maybe it'll make other. I want more women to get involved with the WNBA. So go ahead. I don't feel like right now people understand that women, when they also take the same amount of time and dedication into their sports that they play as much as men do. And so I am very happy that this is going down. And honestly, I think I might watch it.
Mike, you are watching it. How dare you say Mike? You are watching it. I'm going to definitely make that a segment, so you have to watch it.
So I have to watch it.
No, but yeah, I think it's going to be. I'm watching it for sure. I'm very curious, and I would love for it to end up being like a tit for tat, where it's just like so close, and that they both shine. I hope sometimes with a stage like this where there's such a microscope on this, there's a lot of pressure. I hope she rises to the occasion. I hope Steph rises to the occasion, but it makes it a very fun event. Yeah. I'm very curious. And for everyone that's out there that's kind of like, oh, women's basketball, if you have something negative to say about it, just stay away from this event because I want this to be a celebration of basketball and women's and men's basketball, not a see I told you show moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Excellent.
Alrighty, guys. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about Deion Sanders and how he believes Colorado can make the 2024-25 CFP.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier we were talking about Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu, and now we are going to be talking about Deion Sanders and how he believes Colorado can make it into the 2024-25 CFP.
All right. I would first off, I would love to see Deion make it to the college football playoff. I'm just going to come out right off the top of that. But I'll let you go ahead and go ahead.
The always optimistic Deion Sanders sees no reason why Colorado can't challenge for a spot in the college football playoffs next season. Sanders says the Buffaloes most definitely can be a playoff team in 2024. The path to the college football playoff will be easier next season when the field expands to 12 teams. It will be interesting to see how Colorado fares in Sanders' second year as head coach, and in a new conference. The Buffaloes are moving back to the Big 12 after spending the past 13 seasons in the Pac-12. So.
Okay. I think this is a great opportunity for Deion. Last year, a lot of people, they were super excited about Deion and the Colorado Buffaloes last year, and they started out great with the first 4 games, and then they just crashed and burned down the stretch. Okay, first off, for most people who do not follow college football or are a casual college football fan, a lot of people look at Deion's first year as a complete failure, and it wasn't. It was an absolute success. It was a smashing success, and I'm going to explain to you why it was a smashing success. Colorado was the worst team in the nation the year before. Mm-hmm. They were borderline a group of 5 team. They did not have Division I caliber players. Deion came in there and through the transfer portal and some hard recruiting was able to put together a team that really performed incredibly well. And when you look at the team going up against and beating Nebraska, beating Colorado State, competing with the games that they played and that they won and the games that they lost. The first 4 games they did really well, and then their season collapsed. Well, this is what happens in football. When you look at a team like Colorado, which was a glorified group of 5 team, there's about 100 players on a team. Deion was able to recruit quality starting players last year, but was not able to recruit enough players so that the bench were still lower level players. Mm-hmm. So when in a game of football that's very physical, when you have players that are injured or playing injured, they don't have the backups to fill in. So once those guys started to get injured and they started filling in with players that were much lower caliber, the quality of the play definitely slid. And you saw that throughout the year as they were incredibly strong in the first 4 games, and then they went on this massive losing streak. That was because as players started going out, you're replacing a 5-star, 4-star player with a 0-star player or a 1-star player. And the caliber of play is going to fall off. And that's kind of what happened last year. Not to mention, Deion and the Colorado Buffaloes had one of the toughest schedules in college football. I mean, it was brutal. The USC, the Oregons, Nebraska, they had this incredibly tough schedule, one of the toughest in the nation, and they only got blown out by 2 games. There was 2 games that they weren't in, so they had a shot at winning every game but 2, and that's what Deion is talking about this year. They went out and they recruited. They ended up getting more. They ended up getting 5-star offensive line players, a lot of 4-star players. This year, they have a lot more depth. Now, you're looking at, now they're in the Big 12, which their schedule is a lot easier. From having one of the toughest schedules in the country last year to now having a much easier schedule. It's a more of a middle of the pack, or might I say, a little bit on the easier side. They're going to get a lot more wins. Now, when you're talking about making the college football playoffs, you're going to look at and you're going to say, when you look at that schedule, there's not a lot of room for Deion and the Colorado Buffaloes to make it to the playoffs. You're only going to be able to lose 2 games, maybe 3. If you lose 3 games, that means you're going to have to win the Big 12. Will the Big 12 winner, if the Big 12 winner gets there and it's a 3-loss season and Deion and the Colorado is actually contending for the Big 12 championship, then they have a shot, because teams like Arizona, they're going to have a say. Utah is going to have a say. Those type of teams, Colorado, Kansas State. But I think Deion and the Colorado Buffaloes will be in there. I don't know if they have enough to actually get them into the playoff picture, but I think they're going to contend all the way to the end of the year for that Big 12 championship game. And that's the key that we're looking at. Now, I know, and the Big 12 is not the SEC. The Big 12 is not the ACC. Mm-hmm. So when you start looking at what they're doing, I think it really does help them. And you're familiar with what Deion has done in Colorado. You saw them. It was a big buzz with him.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts with this?
I even if they don't do as well this year as Deion says they're going to, he still made like a big impact last year, because they were
massive.
Not good at all. And Deion's first season, the team went 4-8, which is a lot better than what they were a year prior.
Exactly.
So I'm not sure if they're going to get into the college playoff this coming year, but if Deion keeps doing what he's doing and helping the team improve, I don't see why they can't get in the playoff soon, like in the coming years.
And when you're talking about, when you, like, I'm going to use kind of what your words were, when you said they were not good. The situation is they went from a team that was, they went from I think they were like 1-11 the year before, losing on an average a 20-point a game loss. I mean, every team they played, I think except for Cal, blew them out by almost 20 points or more. So they went from a team that was getting blown out by 20 points or more to winning their first 4 games of the year. Yes, they went on a big slide and they lost 7 or 8 in a row. But those games, they were super competitive, and they didn't go on that losing streak until players started getting injured. Once they're, because they didn't have that depth. They didn't have that second string or third string player that was going to be a 3-star athlete that was going to come in, or a 4-star athlete. Like with Georgia, using Georgia because I know you're a big Georgia fan, when the starting linebacker for Georgia goes down, or you have to pull him out to rest, or he has a hip injury or knee injury, which he can't play at his peak. If you're Georgia, you just say, okay, we're going to sit you down, we're going to allow you to heal up, and we're going to bring in this other 4 or 5-star guy that's going to fill in, that's almost as good as you are, that's all-American.
Right.
When Deion has he's not dealing with 5-star guy, he's dealing with a 4-star guy, and it's like, hey, my 4-star guy is injured, but his backup is a 1-star or a 0-star player, and it's kind of like, well, this guy injured is better than the backup, so he's going to play injured. But he's, his quality of play, he's playing injured, he's playing like a 2-star guy, which is still better than the backup.
Yeah.
But you're not going to compete on that same level.
Yeah, I think if Deion just starts to stack up the team a little bit, I don't know if he can do that this year.
Oh, he has done that.
Oh, has he?
Oh, yes, he everyone's been talking about Ole Miss and what they've done in the transfer portal. And they are the team with the third most players transferring in from other teams in the transfer portal. Well, one thing that people aren't talking about, and they're talking about Lane Kiffin, the transfer portal Kiffin, and how amazing, what a great job he's done by bringing in the transfer portal. Guess what? There's a guy out here that blew them away as far as bringing in transfer portal guys, and that is Deion Sanders. Colorado had the #1 transfer portal class in the nation. And I mean, solid. Their receiving core, maybe the best receiving core in the nation. Deion Sanders, who is Deion's son, he will contend for the not for the national championship. He will contend for the Heisman Trophy this year. Mark my word, he will be one of the top 3 or 4 players in college football contending for the national champion, for the Heisman Trophy. Keep saying national championship. Okay. Talking about Georgia on that one. But I mean, loaded defensively. They have solid defensive backs. They've improved. Where Colorado was incredibly weak at was that offense and defensive line, and that has been a focus for Deion, is to fix that offensive defensive line, and he has done that. He brought in the #1 high school recruit in the nation on offensive line, and then he loaded up with a bunch of transfer portal players. So this year they have the depth. This is why I say they can contend for the college football playoff. And I would rather see a situation where Deion is contending. The big focus is, can he contend for the Big 12 championship? That's a tall order. I have the Big 12 championship going to Utah. That's their first. Utah and Arizona is going to be their first year in the Big 12, just like Colorado. All 3 of them are coming over from the Pac-12. Utah and Arizona, I think, are going to be the cream of the crop. Deion, I could see them being a step behind there, but if they're in that, if the roof is trying to be contending for the Big 12 championship, and let's say Deion falls short, he doesn't make it, but he stays ranked and he makes a major bowl. To go from 2 years ago, the absolute worst team in the nation, getting blown out by a margin of 20 points or more. The year before that, worst team in the nation, still getting blown out by a margin. And the year before that, worst team in the nation. So you have an all-decade worst team in the nation, and now he's taking it from that to going from 1 win to 4 wins, from 4 wins to contending for the college football playoffs and possibly making a strong bowl. That's a win. And that's something that I think is very dangerous, because if Deion starts to win and he shows a massive improvement, the floodgates are already coming in where people want to play for Deion. Imagine if Deion starts to win. What happens then? That's what I'm looking for.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how their season goes for them this year then. Maybe I'll tune into some Colorado games and see how well they do this.
Oh yeah, we gotta tune in for a Colorado game, and depending on how things go, I would love to catch a Colorado game this year. Before moving, I used to go to a lot of college games, and that is on my radar, to catch a Colorado game. Georgia's not on the list right now.
Well, it should be, because Sanford Stadium is so much fun.
Oh no! Listen. We're going to talk college football. I'm going to tell you this right now. Georgia, I got Ohio State as the best team in the nation. I got Colorado I got Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, Colorado 3. I think Colorado is stacked. And most people are going to put Colorado, I keep saying Colorado now. Georgia at 3. I apologize. I have Georgia at 3. Here's the reason why, since she's from Georgia and she's a big Georgia fan. I was totally against Georgia. I wanted Georgia to lose last year in the worst way. I thought they had one of the easiest schedules in the nation, and they were one of the most stacked teams. So when they lost, I was like, I didn't want that to happen. This year, Georgia is stacked, but it went the opposite direction. Georgia's schedule is a beast. They have a really hard schedule. Georgia may be the most complete team. Georgia or Ohio State may be the most complete team. I have Georgia number 3 strictly because that schedule is going to be so tough. So that's why I have Georgia at number 3. But I think they are the most complete team in the nation, Ohio State and Georgia. Well, we snuck in a segment here about college football that you weren't even expecting.
I'm biased. I always think Georgia is the best team in the nation.
Oh no, they are. They are with Alabama losing Saban and losing almost 48 players.
Yeah, that's
a ton of players left after Saban announced his retirement. Georgia and Ohio State are clearly head and shoulders above everyone else.
The talk in Georgia is that Georgia is the new Alabama. I hear that all the time now. So
I don't know if they're going to be, depending on what happens this year. If Georgia goes through the schedule, Georgia wins the national championship, then they have a shot. But no team, mark my word on this one. You can tell all your friends in Georgia that that's not going to happen. There will never be another Alabama Crimson Tide run again in college football, ever. 3 reasons why. Name, image, and likeness. There's a lot of teams out there. There's a lot of boosters out there that have a lot of money, like Ohio State, where they spent over $16 million bringing in players. Okay, that's the first thing. Schools like Texas and Oregon, that Nike money with Oregon, the oil money with Texas, that's going to happen. Then transfer portal. Georgia gets a lot of players that are going to be that are NFL caliber guys. You know you're an NFL caliber guy. You're going to go play for Georgia. You're all excited. And spring ball happens and you find out, hey, we thought you were going to be the starting linebacker for Georgia, but sorry, there's 2 other guys that are just as good as you. We're going to make you the 2nd or 3rd string guy. That guy's going to transfer out of Georgia and go to Alabama or Ohio State or Michigan. That's where things are going to change. And then you mix in the fact that it's no longer 2 or 4 teams that are in the playoffs. It's 12 teams, and teams like Georgia, which could be the best team in the nation, you just have to have one bad night during the playoffs because there's so many teams in there. If you have any bad nights, you're not making it. And a team like Georgia, which, like I said, this year, most stacked team in the nation, Georgia. But when you have that tough schedule, and now you have to survive 12 other players in the playoff teams in the playoff. Too many things can happen to make it too hard to go on a Nick Saban run. That's what I see.
Right. Well, we'll see.
You're like, I don't like what you're saying, or I don't agree with it either.
We ran a little long for this one, but
it's your fault. You brought up Georgia.
But we're going to take a quick break, guys, and then when we come back, we're going to dive into our oddities of the day. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier we were discussing Deion Sanders, and then also got on the topic of just college football altogether. And now we're going to be diving into our oddities of the day. Got a good one.
Right. I'm. Here's the thing about the oddities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sharing the audience something a little behind the scene. I let Faith pick. It's Faith's choice. I don't want to know about it at all. I love how she just catches me off guard, and it just depends on what Faith's mood is that day.
Yeah.
So let's see what's going on.
Okay. A company will pay people $10,000 if they ditch their phone for an entire month. Siggy's, which is the company, is giving away $10,000 to people who can live without their smartphone for 1 month. The company says the average person spends about 5.4 hours on their phone each day. The contest, which requires an essay, is open until January 31st, which is today, to anyone 18 and older. Company is serving up a tempting opportunity to anyone who might want to lock away their smartphone for a month. Organizers behind the contest, sponsored by Siggy's Dairy, has launched a digital detox challenge, which comes with a sweet prize, which is $10,000. Prospective detoxers are required to write a 100 to 500 word essay that will explain why they need a digital detox and describe how the detox would impact their lives in a positive way and align with Siggy's brand philosophy, according to the company.
Okay. I've already cheated. In my head, I was cheating already.
Cheating.
Ready? I swear to you, you're reading this, and I'm like, I'm just going to use my smartphone, go on to ChatGPT. Hey, write me an essay on why I need the detox from my phone. So I'm using my phone in my head to cheat this whole thing to get into this. So I'm using ChatGPT to make this amazing essay that I used on my phone, using my phone to send that email in of why I need the detox.
You don't know. They may have like a detector that can tell whether or not your essay has been written by AI. Because since I am in college right now, we use this system called Turnitin, and it will detect AI stuff in your writing. So
that's an easy one. See, had ChatGPT write it. Mm-hmm. Then take that essay and take it over to another AI system and have them rewrite it again. You do it 3 times, it's undetectable.
I just want
Cheat
to
the
say,
system.
I want to say for anybody who is watching who is a college student, do not do this. Do not do this.
Boy, I am not a role model, apparently.
Apparently not. Don't do that. Don't listen to Tate. You will get in big trouble.
Okay, let's stay on the main topic and learn about Tate showing you how to cheat the system. Which is a topic in its own right here.
Yeah.
Okay. If you came to me and you said $10,000 for my phone, I couldn't do it. Mm-mm. I couldn't do it whatsoever.
No, I couldn't.
I go around and I do. I mean, I'm wall to wall meetings, 12 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Most of those meetings are online.
Yeah.
So I need my phone. I'm also addicted to my phone. When I'm not on my phone, I'm reading articles on my phone for this show. Yeah. I'm watching other GSMC content. I'm doing this, doing that. And when I'm not doing that, I'm playing video games on it and everything else pathetic. If I'm not doing that, I'm on my social media. Yeah. When you said, how many hours a day are you on your phone? On average, what did it say?
5.4 hours. I can actually see how many.
I call shenanigans. I think it's way higher than that. Do you think you spend more than that on your phone?
Let's see. Actually, I spend less. My average screen time daily is 3 hours and 13 minutes.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. No
It's
way.
just because if I'm not on my phone, I'm watching TV usually. So it's not really like I'm not using any like device. I'm on Netflix on TV normally if I'm not on my phone or on my like.
Technically, when you're starting to think about that and you're saying, okay, no, you're not on your phone, but you're still using the internet to watch television. So, the television is kind of an extension of your phone.
Mm-hmm.
The real thing is, hey, here's a detox. No phone, no internet, no television. Now take all three of those away. No internet, no phone, no television. Could you do it?
No, absolutely.
That's the real story.
No, I absolutely not. I couldn't even do it without my phone. My livelihood is my phone. I literally work on a podcast. I'm a journalism major. I live, eat, breathe the news. I cannot go without my phone for a month.
Exactly. Now, if we took work out of this picture, I live on my phone. The internet is my life.
I think if work was taken out of it, I think I could. Because normally I'm hanging out with my partner, and I'm usually not on my phone when I'm hanging out with him, unless it's like close to bedtime, and then I'll do my little hour of doom scrolling before it's time to go to sleep. So
if you take work out of this picture, not only how many days?
It's a month, so 30.
So a month. Okay, you're taking a month. If you take work out the picture, I'll destroy this competition. Because here's the thing. We were just talking about this a few segments ago about those 9-month cruises and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, where I live in Portugal. I'm 5 hours from Morocco. I'd be like, okay, I got a week or two in Morocco, no phone. That's cool. I live an hour from Spain. I'm going to spend a couple of weeks in Spain. I'm going to vacation my butt off. As long as I'm vacationing and moving, I don't need a phone.
Are there like
Uh-oh.
Are there exceptions? Because if you take work out of it, I could definitely go like without my phone, and I would probably travel as well. But I use my phone to take pictures. I like taking
can't
pictures.
use it. Nope, can't use it. Your phone, when they take your phone. So what you have to do is, I don't even know if they make disposable cameras anymore, but you got to buy a camera, and you're just taking your camera.
Well, I do have a camera. It's just such a pain in the butt to lug it around everywhere. You got the camera bag, and then if you want to set up the perfect picture, you got the tripod, and then you need the lighting. So we're
going old school. I'm traveling. If they told me, hey, they're going to take your phone, we're going to take your internet and your television, but you have to go about your regular life, and you're going to be at home. You're just sitting there, and it's you and your significant other, and it's just you two hanging out, having lunch, and staring at each other.
Well, I like to read books, so I think if you give me some good books for a month, I think I could do it without TV. I would be miserable, but I could do it.
Okay, maybe I'm sharing a little too much here. And I hope my wife's family don't assassinate me on the spot here. But my wife's family, they live in a very rural community. Mm-hmm. And they don't watch a lot of television. Mm-hmm. And we fly in and we'll visit them. And they'll sit there and everything's going great. And you have breakfast, and then you have lunch. And then after lunch, they all sit down in the living room, they break out their books, and they just read for like 3-4 hours. An hour into it, I'm twitching. I'm picking up my phone. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like,
having withdrawals.
Okay. That's day 1. Day 2, they do it. Day 3, day 4. They do it every single day. That's all. They love to read. And I can't do that. Imagine a month where there's no television, no internet, no phone. Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know, because even if
I'm
you go
struggling.
throughout your daily life, so I talk to you in the morning for probably about an hour and a half, so that's an hour and a half of talking to somebody, oh, but wait, we can't use the internet. So
You're not doing the internet.
This wouldn't be a thing. So
you're on sabbatical for a month.
Oh, well, at least that means I can sleep in till about 9:30, and then I'll just wake up and get ready for class, and then I'll go to class. And
imagine the guy that doesn't sleep, me. I'm up at 3 looking at the walls.
Yeah, no, I don't think you could do it. I think I could do it. I think I could without internet.
Wow, that would be hard for me. I think I would have a really hard time with that one. My life is just like I couldn't live in if you told me if you took those 3 things, I'd be still in the United States. I couldn't even live in Europe without those 3 things. I'm able to live in Europe strictly because I have that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Is there another one, or this is the one we're gonna?
We just ran a little out of time.
Oh, so that's right. We went a little long because I'm blaming you. You were talking about Georgia and all of this stuff, so it's your fault. Yes, this is true. We are long.
Okay, well, no, we're going to close out the show there. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Andrew Tate Show, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.